Many worlds, many houses are two interrelated projects put together by the Global Architectural History Teaching Collaborative and the Architecture Uncertainty Lab. And both of them are designed to deconstruct, to challenge, to crack open the idea of the house in a global world.
The GAHTC is a group of architectural historians who get together and share material about teaching. Teaching architectural history today is increasingly complicated. No longer do people want Eurocentric models, but what models then do we teach? And how do we teach? And to what constituencies? We have humanities programs, architectural students, art history students, and so forth. We also want to produce material for the global citizen in the global world, and to introduce architecture as a medium by which that mission can be accomplished. This is not necessarily very easy to do, and certainly can't be done in one lecture or two lectures, but perhaps over time and as a group we can think of new ways to accomplish that mission. So what we see in the exhibit is not every house and every place and all time in all the cultures, but rather a sample of how houses were used in the lecture material of the historians who are part of this collaborative.
In conjoined contrast, the AUL project, A House Deconstructed, shows that a simple house, a simple 1,000 square feet house, has its sources not only from around the world, but indeed, when you look at it, from around the universe.
We chose one house, which was in Seattle, Washington, and we took the house apart according to 4 vectors. So at the center, of course, is the house itself as a finished object. From one vector, we took the idea of where are the sources? Where does the materials come from? Where are the mines in the world that were needed in order to extract the material for the steel and the copper and the rubber and the oil and the brass fittings and even the wood? And then there's the ingredients list, all the hundreds of ingredients that go into making a house. Some of it is natural, the water and the sand that goes into concrete, but much of it is man-made, and some of it is highly toxic. And so how do these ingredients become mixed and matched and put together to form things like steel, concrete, or glass?
We have a third vector which traces the labors that go into the making of the house. And these are not just the laborers who actually built the 2x4s and the drywall that made the house itself. We document those, but we then also document all the other labors that went into the house that preceded the actual construction of the house. All the labor that went into the production of the glass, all the labor that went into the production of the steel, and even the labor that goes into the felling of the trees and the maintaining of the trees in distant forests. And finally, our fourth vector has got to do with the original sources of materials. We ask the question, all this material that was made, when was it originally created?
The trees, well, they grow in a forest. The ones for this house came from a forest in southern Germany. But a metal comes not just from a mine and not just from the ore, but from a nova explosion some 5 billion years ago and brought to the Earth by means of an asteroid. In all of these vectors, there's a global dimension. In fact, there's planetary dimension, and when we think of the iron that was brought to the planet, there's a cosmic dimension.
Our contention is that when we look at a house which presents itself as a simple modernist construct, all this information, all this knowledge that goes into its production, it just disappears into the clean lines and the finely detailed finishes. A house in this sense is a black hole that takes in information and then permanently hides and masks it over. The purpose of our project is to unmask it and to show its diversity.
What we wanted to do with this project was to embrace the indeterminacy of the object, not see it as something that is to be just completely ignored, but talked about as openly as we possibly can. There are many reasons why we don't know things. Some of it is structural. Capitalism doesn't want you to know all of the dark secrets of its productions. Some of it is just because no one made documents. We don't really know necessarily which tree was cut down for the forest because it was not recorded. Some of it is hidden in sort of the system of contracts where you don't know who made what particular aspect of an object because it was just made by a factory. That doesn't mean, however, that these projects of unknown are to be simply discarded. They constitute, in fact, the large volume of how operations work to make a building. And even a small building like this requires vast amounts of unknown realities in order for it to succeed. So what we're trying to do is not just educate the architect, but also the general public about these issues. Many of these issues are unknown because we don't really want to know necessarily about the child labor, or we don't want to know about the contaminations of the waterways in Southeast Asia, or the insecticides that were used to kill the bugs in the forests. But yet all of these processes are embedded in the thing that is produced and that we call a house in Seattle.